While AI is advancing quickly, there are certain jobs that are very unlikely to ever be fully replaced because they depend on human qualities AI can't replicate, like emotional intelligence, creativity, ethical judgment, and physical human presence. In this video, we shall discuss 8 jobs that AI can hardly replace. A carpenter doesn't work with numbers alone. He works with senses. The scent of the wood tells him its freshness. The sound of the first tap of his mallet tells him how dense it is, and the way the blade catches on the surface tells him whether he needs to adjust his angle. These subtle cues are invisible to machines. Now imagine building a custom table. The client wants something rustic yet modern that matches the family's old farmhouse but still fits their sleek new kitchen. The carpenter studies the space, asks about their lifestyle, listens to their stories. He envisions how this table won't just be furniture. It'll be where birthdays are celebrated, meals are shared, and children do their homework. No AI can feel that. As he cuts, sands, and joins the wood, problems arise. The plank warps slightly. A knot in the wood threatens to split. A precise measurement is off by a hair. Instead of discarding it, the carpenter adapts. He adjusts the joint, reshapes the cut, turns the knot into a beautiful accent in the design. That ability to improvise, to turn flaws into features, is pure human artistry. By the time the table is finished, it's more than a product. It carries the touch of human patience, intuition, and care. Every groove and finish reflects not just technical skill, but a relationship between the maker, the material, and the person it was made for. That's why a carpenter can never be fully replaced by AI. Machines may mass-produce furniture, but the soul in handcrafted work, the human connection, the instinctive problem-solving, the artistry born of imperfection, is something only a carpenter brings to life. It's late evening, and a storm has just rolled through the town. The rain has stopped, but the streets glisten with puddles and whole neighborhoods sit in darkness. In one of those homes, a family waits anxiously. The refrigerator is off, the lights are dead, and the children are scared. An electrician arrives, toolbox in hand. To the untrained eye, he's just a worker with wires and tools. But what he carries is more than equipment. It's knowledge, caution, and a sense of responsibility. Electricity is invisible, silent, and unforgiving. One wrong move can mean danger, so every step he takes is a balance of science and instinct. He starts by listening, not to machines, but to people. The homeowner explains what they heard before the outage. A faint buzzing, then a pop, then silence. Already, the electrician's mind pieces together possible causes. He moves carefully, flashlight in hand, inspecting the panel. A faint smell of burnt plastic lingers in the air, a clue only experience can interpret. Inside the breaker box, things aren't textbook neat. Old wiring, makeshift fixes done years ago, circuits that don't match the house's original plans. This is no laboratory problem for AI. Here, the electrician leans on intuition, memory, and years of working with unpredictable systems. He traces the fault, replaces the damaged wiring, and restores power. But his job doesn't end there. He walks the family through safety tips, explains why the failure happened, and even reassures the children by flicking the lights back on with a smile. The trust between him and the family is as vital as the repair itself. This is why an electrician can't be replaced by AI. Machines can calculate voltage or simulate wiring patterns, but they don't climb ladders in the rain, don't crawl into cramped attics, don't make judgment calls when old houses hide surprises. They don't reassure a worried family when the lights go out. An electrician doesn't just fix wires. He restores safety, comfort, and confidence. And that very human blend of skill, adaptability, and empathy is something no AI can ever fully replicate. The garage smells of oil, rubber, and steel. Sunlight filters in through the half-open door, falling across a car with its hood raised, silent and stubborn. A driver stands nearby, frustrated. The car coughed, sputtered, and refused to move this morning. To the driver, it's a mystery. To the mechanic, it's a challenge. He wipes his hands on a rag, leans over the engine, and listens. Not just with his ears, but with his instincts. Every click, every faint vibration tells a story. The driver only hears a strange rattle. The mechanic hears a clue. AI may read error codes from sensors, but when something doesn't show up on the computer, only human experience steps in. He loosens a bolt, checks the plugs, runs his fingers across a worn belt. His hands carry the memory of years of engines. He can tell when a part is fatigued, when metal is straining, when a sound means danger. Machines can't replicate that intuition. Midway, he finds the culprit, a tiny crack in a fuel line, nearly invisible. To most eyes, it looks fine, but the smell of faint gasoline told him to check. He replaces it, tightens everything, and with a turn of the key, the engine roars back to life. The relief on the driver's face says it all. But the mechanic doesn't just fix the problem, he explains it. He teaches the driver how to notice early signs, what to look out for, how to care for the car better. That human connection, guiding, advising, reassuring, is as much part of the job as the repair itself. This is why a mechanic can never be replaced by AI. Yes, diagnostics machines can scan codes, robots can assemble cars, but the messy, unpredictable reality of breakdowns needs a human mind and a human touch. Cars age differently, drivers treat them differently, and problems often live in the spaces manuals don't cover. A mechanic doesn't just repair machines. He restores confidence, keeps journeys alive, and sometimes saves lives by spotting dangers before they strike. And that kind of dedication, adaptability, and human care is something no AI can bolt into place. The city wakes to the sound of hammers, drills, and steel beams being hoisted into the sky. On a dusty site where concrete meets sunlight, construction workers gather, helmets on, boots heavy with mud. To passersby, it's just noise and chaos. But for the workers, it's a symphony, each task fitting together to create something far greater than its parts. One worker climbs the scaffolding, balancing with ease as the wind whips around him. Another bends rebar with practiced strength, shaping the skeleton of what will become a home, a hospital, or maybe even a school. Each action is precise, but it's also unpredictable. The ground isn't always stable. The weather isn't always kind. Blueprints are just lines on paper. Reality requires judgment, adaptation, and teamwork. AI and machines may assist. Robotic arms can pour concrete. Drones can scan sites, but the heartbeat of construction lies in human presence. When a wall doesn't line up, when the soil shifts unexpectedly, when an old building reveals hidden weaknesses, it's the workers who solve problems in real time. They improvise, discuss, adjust, making decisions no algorithm can predict in messy, ever-changing conditions. But construction is more than just building structures. It's about building lives. A worker setting bricks isn't just laying stone. He's creating the walls that will shelter a family for generations. The woman welding steel beams isn't just joining metal. She's shaping the skyline of a city. Their sweat, their skill, and their resilience give form to the dreams of architects and the needs of society. By the day's end, dust clings to their clothes, muscles ache, and the site still looks unfinished. But every bolt tightened, every beam placed, brings the vision closer to reality. And when the building finally stands tall, no one looks up at it thinking of machines. They think of the people, the hands, the grit, the teamwork that made it rise from the ground. That's why construction workers will never be fully replaced by AI. Robots may lift, scan, or automate, but only humans can blend strength with judgment, endurance with creativity, and labor with meaning. They don't just build structures, they build trust, safety, and futures. The alarm pierces the silence of the station. Within seconds, boots slam against the floor, gear is pulled on, and a red truck roars to life. The city outside is calm, but for the firefighters, time has collapsed into urgency. Somewhere, someone's world is burning. The truck cuts through traffic, sirens wailing, until it screeches to a stop in front of a home swallowed by smoke. Flames twist out of the windows, painting the night sky orange. Neighbors stand helpless on the street, fear in their eyes. And then, the firefighters step forward. They don't hesitate. One pulls the heavy hose into position, muscles straining against the pressure as water blasts into the fire. Another disappears into the smoke, oxygen mask strapped tight, carrying nothing but a flashlight and unshakable resolve. Inside, the heat is suffocating, the air thick, every corner uncertain. AI machines might hesitate in such chaos, but firefighters don't. They move guided by training, instinct, and something no algorithm can feel, the duty to protect life. In a back room, a child cries. The firefighter follows the sound, heart pounding, crawling low through the choking haze. He finds her, scared and coughing, and scoops her into his arms. Step by step, through blinding smoke and searing heat, he carries her out, until at last, the night air greets them both. The child's terrified sobs turn to relieved gasps as she clings to his soot-covered jacket. Outside, the team doesn't celebrate. They keep working, cooling hot spots, checking for hidden flames, making sure the building is safe. Their work isn't just about putting out fire. It's about restoring hope, about giving families the chance to start again after disaster. This is why firefighters will never be replaced by AI. Yes, drones can survey flames, robots can enter dangerous zones, but only humans can weigh risk against instinct, can decide in a heartbeat whether to push forward or pull back, can comfort a child with a steady voice in the middle of chaos. A firefighter doesn't just fight fire. They fight fear, despair, and loss. They carry not only tools but also courage, compassion, and sacrifice. And that is something no machine will ever replicate. The courtroom is quiet. The air feels heavy, as though every breath carries the weight of expectation. At the front, a judge sits in her robe, eyes steady, gavel within reach. To most, she looks calm, but inside, she carries the burden of every word spoken in this room. One decision here could change a life forever. On one side, a lawyer rises. He doesn't just recite facts, he tells a story. He weaves together evidence, testimony, and emotion, guiding the jury through the tangled threads of human behavior. His voice carries not just logic, but empathy. He knows when to press, when to pause, when to let silence speak louder than words. AI might analyze data faster, but it cannot sway hearts, cannot measure the trembling voice of a witness, cannot read the pain etched on a face. Across the aisle, another lawyer counters, sharp, focused, and relentless. Every argument is a duel, but also a dance, where strategy shifts moment by moment. The law provides structure, but human judgment gives it life. It is not just about what is written in the books, but how those words apply to people, to circumstances, to truth. And then, all eyes turn to the judge. The room waits. She does not decide with algorithms or formulas, but with wisdom shaped by experience, ethics, and conscience. She weighs not just the evidence, but intent, not just the law, but justice. Her words, when spoken, will ripple beyond these walls, through families, communities, and futures. This is why judges and lawyers will never be replaced by AI. Yes, machines can sift through thousands of cases, summarize laws, or even draft contracts. But only humans can wrestle with morality, feel the gravity of a broken life, or deliver justice with compassion. The law is not just logic, it is humanity written into rules, and humanity is something no machine can truly embody. A lawyer is not just an advocate, he is a voice for the unheard. A judge is not just a decision maker, she is the guardian of fairness, the anchor of trust in society. Together, they remind us that justice is not a calculation, it is a human promise. The studio is quiet, but alive. Shafts of light fall across canvases leaning against the walls, and blocks of marble wait in silence, as though holding their breath. A painter stands before a blank canvas, brush in hand, while a sculptor sharpens his chisel against stone. To some, this is just work with colors and tools. But to them, it is dialogue, a conversation between the artist, the material, and the unseen world of imagination. The painter dips her brush into pigment, but she doesn't simply apply color. She listens. She feels the weight of memory, of emotion, of stories that words cannot contain. Each stroke is a decision, but not one guided by formulas. It is guided by instinct, by the invisible pulse of creativity. AI can generate images, but it cannot choose to capture a mother's grief, a lover's joy, or the quiet dignity of an old man watching the sunset. Those truths come only from the heart. Across the room, the sculptor leans close to his marble block. To anyone else, it is cold stone. To him, it hides a figure waiting to be revealed. With every strike of the chisel, he is not just shaping matter, he is uncovering soul. A machine could carve perfectly symmetrical shapes, flawless and cold. But only human hands can turn a flaw, a crack in the stone, a blemish in the marble, into character, into beauty. What was once a defect becomes a story, because the sculptor sees not with eyes alone, but with imagination, and when their work is complete, something extraordinary happens. A painting or sculpture stands before the world not as a product, but as a mirror. People gaze upon it and see pieces of themselves, feelings they couldn't name, memories they thought forgotten, dreams they never dared to speak. This is not data, not replication. This is connection. That is why sculptors and painters can never be replaced by AI. Machines may create, but they do not dream. They may imitate style, but they do not feel. They can produce art, but they cannot suffer for it, hope through it, or pour a lifetime of human experience into every brushstroke and strike of the chisel. A painter does not just use color, she translates emotion into form. A sculptor does not just carve stone, he breathes life into silence. And it is in that raw, imperfect, deeply human act of creation that art truly lives. A small group of tourists gathers, cameras ready, but their eyes are uncertain. The city before them feels vast, unfamiliar, almost overwhelming. And then their tour guide arrives. With a warm smile and a voice full of energy, she doesn't just lead them forward. She begins to open the city like a storybook. Here, she says, pointing at a weathered archway, generations passed through this very gate, soldiers, merchants, even kings. Her words don't just describe, they transport. Suddenly, the tourists don't see stone and mortar, They see echoes of footsteps, markets alive with noise, battles fought and won. An AI app might supply facts and dates, but only a human guide can breathe life into history, can notice a child's widening eyes, and adjust the tale to keep wonder alive. As the group walks, she senses more than footsteps. She notices when someone lags behind, fascinated by a street mural. She shifts the route slightly, weaving in a hidden alley where local artists work, something no digital map would think to show. She doesn't just give information, she gives experience, tailored in real time to the emotions and curiosities of her travelers. At lunchtime, she doesn't recommend a generic restaurant. She takes them to a tucked-away family cafe where the owner greets her by name. The travelers don't just taste food, they taste culture, authenticity, the warmth of human connection. That kind of moment can't be coded into an app. It comes from trust, relationships, and the guide's deep love for her home. By the end of the day, the group isn't just tired, they're enchanted. They've laughed at her stories, leaned in close to her secrets about the city, and felt, for a brief moment, like insiders instead of strangers. And when they say goodbye, it's not just thanks for the knowledge, it's thanks for the memory. This is why tour guides will never be replaced by AI. Machines can calculate distances, show virtual reality, or recite facts, but they cannot share a laugh, answer a child's spontaneous question, or sense when a group needs a pause to simply watch the sunset. A tour guide is not just a navigator, they're a storyteller, a cultural bridge, and often the heartbeat of the journey itself. A map shows you where you are. A tour guide shows you why it matters. Which other jobs do you think are unlikely to be replaced by AI? List them in the comment section below. Please subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell for more informative content.